Everyone has a bright light inside of them that deserves to be seen by the world. That's why it's time to shine the light on the extraordinary who are accomplishing phenomenal things. This is the Shine Out Loud Show with Lillian Urhobo.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever in the world you are, and welcome to another episode of the Shine Out Loud Show with me, Lillian Urhobo. Now, I have a woman on the show today who is basically a gift. She's so much a gift, her mother named her gift. And I'm going to have her pronounce her last name because I will not be responsible for butchering anyone's name today. So, Gift, please pronounce your last name for me.
Ajimokun.
Ajimokun. So you see, I'm very particular about last names. I don't like butchery of last names. And I say to people, you can say Abramovich, you can say Ajimokun. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. So lady, first and foremost, I just want to say you wear so many hats, and it's good that you're wearing a hat today because you wear quite a few. You are a cultural producer. You define yourself as an agitator, an equity and inclusion facilitator. If that's not just enough, you are also a jewelry designer who is creating jewelry that is a talking point, standout point, because it is about telling the story of your tribe and people. And for those who don't know Gift, she is of Nigerian heritage, which she's proud of, but she's really proud of her heritage and her culture within the Nigeria as a whole. She is an Urhobo woman. So
you said it right. Woo! That helps to start off good.
Listen, we are Delta. We have to pay homage to our people. You are an Urhobo woman, and I have to respect that. So let's start at the very top. What is a cultural producer?
So a cultural producer is someone that just produces culture. So culture could take so many forms in the UK and just in arts in general. Culture can be an event that brings people together. It can be a piece of art that makes people think differently. It can be so many different things. And I work across all of those things. Kind of the biggest thing that I do is helping communities that live in boroughs such as like South East London, like myself, or impoverished, I hate that word, but areas with lack of access to arts, helping them get into arts in the way that I did when I was young, and it changed my life and made me rethink kind of what I wanted to do in my trajectory in life. That's basically what I kind of do when I call myself a culture producer, because I feel like people in those areas are making the culture that is then adopted by the society, white people. And I kind of produce events or produce pieces or produce programs that help those culture makers be part of the art that basically is inspired by them anyway.
Oh, I like that. And I mean, your subtle call out of folks, I see it. Where they take culture, they reframe it and go, look, I have discovered braids. And you're like, this, you didn't discover nothing, but let's leave that alone. Let's walk back away from it. So I like the fact that your role as a cultural producer is about creating inclusivity for those who would be excluded from the world of art. And they are the ones who are, as you rightly put, art makers. And that is, I love that term, art makers, because they are the ones who are forgotten on that journey. Mm-hmm. So you talk about, and this theme of inclusion and diversity, this theme of creating art that makes you think was what actually drove you to create your piece. So you talk about challenging the norms by representing your mother's culture instead of your father. What drove this in you?
Yeah, so usually in Nigerian culture, if your father is Yoruba, then you'd say you're Yoruba rather than if there's a mix. So my father is Benin/Yoruba and my mom is Urhobo/Shekiri. And for me, I'm repping my mom's side because I feel like, well, first of all, she had a bigger part in my life. And two, I think when she came to this country, there was so much assimilation she had to do that like she had to reject so much of kind of how much she has to reject so much of herself really to fit in. And that's something that stays with me a lot when I think about her journey and her come up and her survival in the UK, is thinking about how much of her identity that she had to really just leave behind for her. And so as someone in a generation where I have the privilege to be proud of my heritage and to talk about it, I am not letting that slide. I'm taking that very seriously. I'm doing my best to be proud of it and talk about it every single chance and time that I get.
I like that. And it is true. If there's a mix in our culture, where your father is from, it's like your mother's people become silent and invisible. So I do like this part that you are repping for your mother's side, and the fact that your mother had a big influence in your life. So just, if we're going to talk about your mom, what's your mom's name? Shirley. All right. So we're talking about Shirley in a little bit more detail. So where did the vision for OKE come from?
So for me personally, I shaved my head back in 2017. And when I shaved, because before then I'd been relaxing my hair. I kind of just grew up doing traditional things with your hair, like relaxing it and it being like not great, and constantly wanted to do things with your hair and not knowing how. I was basically having it in braids most of the time. And so when I shaved my head and did the kind of big chop, I was like, oh my God, you can see everything on my face. And I remember just like wearing so much makeup during that time, because I was like, my face is just so out there. And then at that point as well, for me, I really got into jewelry, because I was like, I need something to like decorate this area. And so I absolutely fell in love with jewelry and how it could basically decorate your face and like decorate your body and just accessorize in a way that I didn't know before. So that was like the beginnings of something. But I've always liked jewelry. I've always worn it. I always feel naked when I don't have anything on me. And that coupled with when I was talking to my mum about the reason that she kind of doesn't use her maiden name anymore, despite her like not being with my father and everything like that, because, the name Shirley Joe is probably going to get you a bit further than the name Shirley Ogboru. That really kind of broke my heart, because I was like, well, that's not really your name. Like, why would you carry that name along with you? But it comes back to that assimilation piece of her knowing and understanding that she knows that she could probably get a bit further, get more money, kind of get jobs if she just hangs on to this name and assimilates in a society that isn't made for her anyway. And so for me, that speaks volumes in terms of how she feels in society and what she understands of it, and what a privilege I have to be able to walk and take up the space that I do. But more than that, I think whenever I'd go to the one that stands out to me is that for New Year's 2020, funny enough, so it was the last New Year's party we could have legally, I suppose. I went to this party, and I remember meeting this woman, and she was like, oh, Nigeria. And we both kind of identified that we were both Nigerian very quickly. And she was like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, oh, I'm Urhobo. She was like, no, you're not. And we both screamed for like 2 or 3 minutes, because we were just like, we never see each other. And I was like, I know. Oh my God, really? Wow. And we were just chatting away. And this happens every single time on the off chance that I meet someone else that's Urhobo. And every other time people just like, oh, what's that? Did you mean Igbo? Is it, do you mean Igbo? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I said Urhobo. Do you know what I mean?
Like I didn't stutter.
Do you know what I mean? I don't get really confused. It's very different words. Anyway, the kind of frustration from that interaction of, you're from Nigeria, we kind of, especially people that are active on Twitter and talk about Nigerian diaspora a lot, or even when people make memes about Nigeria, about different ethnic groups, no one ever includes Urhobo people in those memes and things like that. So kind of feeling disgruntled from that, but also understanding how my mum has felt and had to kind of assimilate into a culture not built for her. Those things together, I thought, why not unite them into something that I feel really passionate about and that kind of drives me creatively, with kind of making a positive change and getting our name out there.
Okay. So you still haven't told me, what does OKE stand for? Yes.
So OKE can mean gift, if pronounced tonally, or like basically in different contexts it mean different things. Mm-hmm. So either means gift, which is my name, or it can mean time, which I really like, because obviously one, it's named after me, but not directly named after me. But two, I think the symbolism of time and time passing and how things have changed from when my mum came to this country versus now me entering the workplace and how I take up space. There's a lot to be thought about there, and I really, really love the thought of this brand being timeless and being a symbol of how time can change and heal to some extent.
Okay, so please pronounce it for me in the way that it is intended to be pronounced.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it either stands for your name, gift, or gift. I'm going to conflate it and say gift of time.
Perfect. That's beautiful. Oh, I like that a lot. The gift of time.
Time, because with your story in there, the gift of time, as you talk about healing, you talk about your mother understanding what she gave up in terms of having to fit in, and you understanding that journey and saying, well, I fully will embrace my whole self and spread out. And so the gift of time, I'm loving this.
That is beautiful. I'm gonna make a mental. That's beautiful. Thank you very much for that. Like taking what I got. Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's talk about. We're talking about OKE and the fact that congratulations on your recent crowdfunding for it. And let's look at how important is it for Black women entrepreneurs to be sponsored.
Oh, it's so important. I think the crowdfunder was the single scariest thing about launching this business that I've ever done. Reaching out to my community and saying, please support my dream. I couldn't think, even now I think about it, it's the scariest thing guaranteed I've ever done, because you have to bet on yourself. You have to be like, what I'm doing is a good idea and people are going to believe in me and monetarily put their belief in me. And considering all the external factors that kind of really wear down your self-confidence and give you imposter syndrome, that is a really hard internal sell. So it took me a long time to come around to the fact that like I needed to do this crowdfunding to really get the start that I needed.
Right.
And so when I did, and kind of the outpour of love and support and messages, people sharing it was kind of coming through. I just felt so taken aback that so many people wanted to support me and love me in so many different ways. And it showed me that my community was there for me. And I think that coming back to the actual question, it's really important for Black women to have sponsors because it is one of the most validating things to have your idea and dream and have someone be like, I trust and believe in that internal voice that you have, and I'm going to back you up on it. It is the single most self-esteem boost you can give to any Black woman starting a business, just Black women in general, even for like Black children and girls, saying, you know what, I think what you're trying to do there is actually really, really good. What can I do to help you achieve that, rather than saying, let me do that for you. What can I do to facilitate you doing that is really, really key.
And that, I think, it's that reminder. And also, even in the workplace, I think we've had enough of mentoring. We need sponsors, people who are going to walk into a room where we cannot be in and speak on our behalf. 100%. And I think that's what we need to remember. Now, we're talking about all the things that you do. We've discovered you're a cultural producer, an agitator, a storyteller, a jewelry maker. So my question is, do you make the pieces yourself? Mm-hmm. You do? Okay.
So, no. Sorry, no. I was saying to say, I was saying, sorry. I don't make the jewelry myself. So I work with a certified B Corp manufacturer, which means that a B Corp manufacturer just means that their bottom line is all about kind of putting money back into the manufacturing process to make sure that the workers are paid fairly. They have access to medical care when they're in the workplace. They're freelance, but they aren't told to kind of come to this big factory in the city. They can work because they're freelance close to home to their village, so they can still be part of their wider community and be access to their family, because that's something that is quite important as well. So that's something that was really important to me. So I work with a manufacturer that works with talented artisans that help me do that, which is really exciting. And I'm really happy because, again, that was another barrier. Like, if I can say this to anyone, like, just because you might not have the physical skills to do something doesn't mean you don't have the vision or the design eye or the ability to create something. It's just about finding the tools that you are happy with and kind of channeling that vision through that, for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so that answered that question, because I was like, where did you find the time to learn the extra skills to be
not handy?
This girl sleep, So, and the reason why I bring that up about time, because there's something that I discovered, and something called colorful. What is colorful?
Oh, colorful. So colorful is a network I started when I was at Penguin Random House, UK, back in 2018. So I was 19 when I joined that company. And 6 months in, I was like, no one looks like me. This is really strange. And as a neurodiverse person, I don't really accept things for face value. I don't understand how to see something, and just the kind of the saying, that's just the way things have always been, has never has made sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me as a neurodiverse person. I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be like, why? I'm constantly asking why. And so for me, my question was, there's like no diversity here. Like, what's going on? And kind of people, and so basically I started to meet with people of colour for like coffees during lunch and things like that. And I was just asking them, why are there no black people? Why are there no brown people? Like, what's going on? And they were telling me their stories, and I think they found it very, very therapeutic. I found it really interesting to hear. I was like, oh, okay, this sounds like a solution needs to be made. And for whatever reason, I took it upon myself to do that. Mm-hmm. So 6 months into a new role, just past my probation, I decided to start a network for ethnic minorities in Penguin Random House only. We would meet monthly. I managed to get a budget of, I can't remember now, what, 2K? Yeah, 2K nice. From the CSR department, because I was like, you guys keep talking about diversity, give us money then. They're like, okay. Exactly, like, give us the money to do the diversity then. And they did, and I was like, oh, okay. Which is another tip, like I think about when you're trying to get money from a company, or like if you're working internally or something, if you look at their vision and their like 5-year goal, if it ties in something you're doing, ask them to back it. Be like, oh, I can see in your 5-year vision that you really want to work on improving the workplace culture. Well, the thing I'm going to be doing is going to be doing A, B, and C for the workplace culture. Therefore, I think you should put some money behind it. And then as years go on, if you see that return on investment, you can put in some more money. And don't be afraid to ask them, because obviously sometimes they may say no, but most of the time, if it's all making sense and they can kind of justify it to their upper half, or to their like upper levels, then they're going to go for it. So I'd highly recommend that. Yeah, so 6 months into the job, started Colourful. We kind of, the first big event was for Black History Month. We made this big display in one of our offices of Black British writers, because I think that was really important that they got that shine. Because sometimes when I was there previously, well, actually before I was there, when it came to like Black History Month, they would like barely show any Black British writers. They'll just throw any they'll just throw Maya Angelou in there and a couple other people and keep it stepping. And I was like, no, we have some amazing British talent. Let's showcase them. Mallory Blackman is still here. Come on, let's give her some shine. So we did that, and that was really big. And I think that was a big way to announce that we were here. People were reading the book. People were emailing about it. So that was really, really amazing. We got to talk to the CEO. We wrote a report. We did a lot of stuff. But I'm just really proud, because I don't work at Penguin anymore, but Colourful still exists. And that's the most important thing, is creating that legacy, because Colourful wasn't for me. It wasn't for any sort of like internal, like, oh yeah, it was about creating something so that if you entered the company, you didn't feel alone. There was a group you could go to, and it still exists. So I've done exactly what I needed to do. That's all that matters to me. Thank you.
That is something powerful, to build a legacy like that. That is really powerful. So, you're talking about companies wanting to fulfill their CSR, their 5-year plan. Now, with more and more companies striving for that conversation around inclusion, what can they do to not fall into the trap of playing lip service to the whole diversity? Let's be diverse, and then we're going to produce an advert with some very funky things involved, and be like, oh, we didn't know. So how can companies avoid that trap?
Yeah. Oh, this is something I could wax and wane on forever, but I'll try and keep it brief. Number one, Black and brown and just ethnic minorities in general are not lucky to be at your company. That is the biggest mistake I see them do. They do these entry-level schemes to try and get people, diverse people into their companies. And then they basically, for the first 2 months they're there, tell them how lucky they are to be there. No. You need these people at your company. You're hiring for diversity for various reasons, but you need these people. These people are going to bring creativity, interesting thoughts. They're going to bring skills, obviously, that you need to your company. So telling Black and brown people that they're lucky to be there is the number one mistake that I see made, especially at that entry level. So please remember, they're not lucky to be there. They not just deserve it. You need them there. Keep that in mind when you're kind of creating these entry-level schemes. The second thing is understanding the symptoms of white supremacist culture. So these take forms in different ways. So different things that are symptoms of a white supremacist culture, kind of white supremacist culture and characteristics are worship of the written word. So kind of everything has to be written, and that isn't accessible for everybody. So thinking about how for people that where writing isn't the most accessible form of communication, how are you making sure they're not left out of the loop? Paternalism, feeling like, you know, even when a discussion and decision is made, you still have to kind of go to that one person to make sure they're okay with it, even though they have nothing to do with it. They have no take in the situation. Why is that happening? Why is this paternalistic kind of culture still happening in the business? What's going on? Either or thinking. A lot in companies, people always have, well, you know, if we do this, then we can't do that. Actually, let's look at it logistically. If we don't do this, what other solutions can we think of to do rather than it's got to be this, it's got to be that? There are many things in between that. So this is just a couple of areas of white supremacist workplace culture that can be toxic. So actually analysing how they manifest in your workplace and finding viable solutions for them.
Right.
And third of all, put your money where your mouth is. Like actually paying people a livable wage is the number one way you can make sure you are helping diverse stuff, because everyone has different intersectionalities. And so by paying everyone a livable wage, you are already helping people that, you know, might not even known are in kind of in certain different intersectionalities. You're helping them a little bit kind of survive one more day, one more month, one more year.
Right.
And it's something so simple that people don't think of. They're like, we don't have this money. I know you have the money. You're spending it on something that you don't need to. Spend it on your people. Your people are the people making you money. That should be your biggest pot of spending, is the people. So I'd really think about making sure people that are living an actual livable wage, not what is livable when you were a child, which is a common mistake as well.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, back in 1924. Like, dude, we're not in 1924. You know, we're not there. We're not going back there. And yeah, 50 pounds does not go as far as you think.
No.
Doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so we're talking about the work that you do as a facilitator for inclusion. And, you know, one of the things I sat back when we're thinking about, you know, we've done International Women's Day, not too far, where we are talking about and continue to talk about equality, where people are now talking about equity and parity. So my question is, and this is for you as an expert, equality, equity, and parity, which one of them is more attainable? Because how can we get to where we need to be?
I think equality was a conversation that was happening way back when maybe the gaps in wealth were not nearly as large as they are now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think we've just lost Gift for a second. Let's see what's going on. Let me see. We've just lost her. So guys, hold on one moment while we get our guests back. And we were just talking about equality, equity, and parity, which is more attainable. Gift, welcome back. We lost you for a second.
Yes, sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about it. Like, yeah, no, I was just saying equality is something that was happening as a conversation that was happening a while ago when the wealth gap and this inequality gap was way smaller than it is now. With the massive gap that it is now, it is about equity, where we are trying to basically get people that have been so disadvantaged for so long at a good enough level, even ahead, because they require the help and the assistance and basically the support that we're supposed to provide before we can even have a discussion about equality, because there's generational things we need to discuss first before we can even get to talking about equality at that point.
Absolutely. I'm like, you know, the generational stuff, the things that when we unpack, you're like, oh, okay, so yeah, so you pay but you won't pay. Oh, okay. So yeah. I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus. So what was your earliest inspiration to create? Whether it was jewelry, whether it what spoke to you?
Ooh, just to create in general.
Yes.
Ooh. I think my innate need to help and understand people. So like for a long time, as someone that's neurodiverse, I find it hard to like read and understand people. Right. And so I when I was younger, even now, I'm obsessed with like psychology documentaries going into the human brain and like human behavior, because I'm just like, wow, is that what humans are thinking? This is great. And in regards to helping people, I just have this innate need to care and nurture people. And I feel like when I break it down, that is why I create things, you know, whether it's creating creative programming for like a museum or a theatre, so that young people like myself from the past, I guess, can access theatre or the museum, is to help them along on their creative journey, because they don't know what creativity can look like for them, and I want them to know what it looks like. Or if it's, you know, working in a new industry or going into facilitating in a new company that I've never worked with before, it's for me understanding, like, you know, oh, I don't know how electricity companies run. I'm really interested to hear from you guys as well, how things run on your side. So all those different elements are really, really important to me, is kind of having a chance to nurture and help people that were in similar positions to me, and the ability to understand humans more, basically.
Awesome. Okay. So this wanting to understand people more, and you've said it a couple of times now, you describe yourself as neurodiverse.
Yeah.
Please elaborate a bit more. What do you mean by being neurodiverse?
Yeah. So I'm autistic and I have ADHD.
Okay.
So that means that for me personally, what that means is I find it difficult to understand people. That's literally it. Like, I think social norms and social cues absolutely fly over my head. And the ADHD doesn't really make it hard for me to concentrate. It just makes me hyperfixate on stuff, which is great, because when I'm really into something, you know, if someone tells me to research something at work, if I hyperfixate on it, I can go into some great detail, but it means I won't like eat or go to the toilet or drink for like 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like finding that balance to like switch on and off.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how I describe it.
Okay, so that's good. Thank you for the enlightenment, because, you know, even though we work that I do outside of this podcast, I want to make sure that I understand what a person means by their own definition of being neurodiverse. So let's look at what we know you love your Urhobo culture, and you are passionate about people understanding your culture. So share with us some of the unique culture, some of the unique aspect of your culture and history of your culture.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. So, oh God, I'm like, where do I start? Something that I posted about on the Instagram quite recently, which was really, really exciting, was about Urhobo names and how they come to be, basically.
Okay.
Which was really, really exciting. So basically, well, first of all, in Urhobo culture, like traditional Urhobo culture, the mum and the baby don't actually come out of the house or to like meet people until the baby's like 3 months old, which I think needs to come back, because mums, yeah. I don't know if people still do that now, but back in the day, that's what people used to do, because it gave the mother and child time to rest and recover and not feel like they had to do all this social activity and things like that. I think that's really, really special, because it just gives them that time to bond. It doesn't mean they didn't have help from like grandmothers and like immediate family, but when it comes to like, I guess, introducing their baby to the world, it wasn't until the baby was at least 3 months old, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. I like
another thing that I found the other day as well, so the Urhobo names are really important, kind of like with most Nigerian names. Urhobo people believe that if you name your child something, that is what they will become. Or that's what they're like destined to be. And so the kind of categories of names that people usually like fit their baby's name into are like spirituality, appreciation, achievement, philosophical names, or like a challenging name. So for example, if they had the child during like a rainy period, they might like name the child after that. Or if they had their baby during like a really holy time, then they would have that, then they would name the child after that. So that was really, really cool. Okay. I don't know why there's so many baby stuff, but the last one I always say on the baby stuff was this really, really cool phenomenon that I think is absolutely fantastic, and I want to make sure I pronounce everything correctly. So there's this word called atara. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And basically it means that it's the first cry of a newborn, and it's called like, and it translates to speaking out. And basically it's that first like cry of the newborn is a prediction of the good things that will happen in their life.
Ooh.
Now, I don't know too much detail about like how different cries are interpreted, but I'm so fascinated by that first cry holding so much significance for my people, like it having a name and people listening in like, oh, I wonder what like this cry means. So I think that's really, really awesome. Yeah, sorry, I know a lot of baby stuff. I find there's a lot of information about like birth, marriage, and death. And there's still some information on religion, but I'm still kind of digging it. Again, this is why I wanted to create the brand, because I'm trying to create a destination, hopefully, that will have like bite-sized information about Urhobo culture that's easy to find, because right now I'm still reading through like academic papers and trying to claw out bits and bobs where I can.
Okay. Oh, I love this. And I love, because for me, I get fascinated by culture and stories. And so I have one more question, and I don't know if you can answer, but are there any Urhobo goddess stories that we should be aware of, or actually any Urhobo goddess names? Because I've recently discovered Igbo goddesses. And for the longest, I just knew of Yoruba goddesses. And as much as I love the Yoruba goddesses, I wanted to have something that reflects me. And so to know that they're Urhobo goddesses will be beautiful as well.
Yeah, so the one I could probably name now is there's a water spirit called, so it's not the same as Mami water, it's something different. So Owaru. And so Owaru is said to have originated in the water south of Delta. And the story that kind of comes along with this water spirit is that it involves a man who travels to like the fishing grounds of the South Urhobo land and stays there for many years. His wife resists the pressure from his family members to kind of give him up for dead because he's been like chased by some people that he owes money or something like that.
Right.
Why not? But when he does ultimately like return back to the place that he ran away from, he announces that he met this water spirit and he brought back the art of this like art, music and dance of this water spirit for them to enjoy, and that kind of come and enjoy this, forget what I did, come and enjoy the art and music and dance that I've brought back. And so he didn't get in trouble basically because he brought back all these things that he met from the water spirit. And so the kind of anniversary of that is celebrated at a yearly festival.
Okay. I shall go and do some research and find out some more. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now I see you are wearing your yes. I like the product placement. So that is your design. So why is it black and white? Why that particular design?
Yeah. So I named the piece Oyivri, which means boldness in Urhobo, because basically, for me, I think when I was looking at earrings, when I initially designed them, they were both one color, and there was just something about it. I was like, I'm not feeling it. I like what I've got, but I'm not feeling it. And so when I made them black and white, it felt really classy and timeless, but it just felt a bit different. It felt a bit bold. And what inspired me was when I was looking through lots of black and white archived images of like Nigerian people getting ready for parties, especially Urhobo people getting ready for weddings, and just how much we showed up to these parties. Like we weren't coming in jeans, like we were ready to have a nice time. It was just so inspiring because it just showed like we came to party and we always come with our swag, with our drip, like we're not doing things by halves. And that's why we come with boldness, we've come with vim, we come with color. And even though these earrings are black and white, I wanted to kind of timelessly recreate that in these earrings, kind of inspired by those archive photos. And so that's why I created these.
Love it. Okay, so we're looking at everything you do, and you've gone into the jewelry industry. So as a woman of color, what has been your biggest lesson to date in the jewelry industry?
Ooh. Don't get roped in by the way jewelry is sold on Instagram now. So when you go on like jewelry pages, especially the ones that are really popping, a lot of them show these like white tanned girls with their like necklaces, all very similar designed, with like maybe you have a bit of water from the beach, and it has a very similar aesthetic. Right. And when you see that, it's very easy to think, well, I need to do that too to be successful. That's obviously what I need to do. It's not, because you have to think about who your target audience is. My target audience isn't white women that go to the beach. It's black women, it's people that are interested in Urhobo culture. Right. It's a myriad of the Nigerian diaspora. And I'm not saying black women that go to the beach, but I just need to think about that aesthetic appeals very much to who they're trying to appeal to, which is probably like young white girls, basically. And they can buy the jewelry, but that's not who I'm appealing to. So don't get swayed by when you're kind of doing your competitor research and they all have a very similar aesthetic. Don't be swayed by that, because if you have a key message and a key focus, which for me primarily is spreading the visibility of Urhobo people, don't get sidetracked by the fact that, oh, but they take cute pictures, aesthetic pictures. It's like, yes, you can post pictures and put up some nice ones, but don't forget the point of you starting it in the first place. Don't forget the main point, for sure.
Okay. So we're going into this phase where everybody's talking about sustainability. Everyone is talking about slow fashion. How can we be more sustainable with our fashion choices?
Yeah. I think the most sustainable thing we can do right now isn't about buying from really expensive sustainable clothing brands if that's not within your budget, or going vegan if that's not in your budget, or to your cultural foods, because I know some cultural foods you just can't do vegan. The most sustainable thing we can do right now in terms of fashion is to wear things over and over again. Okay. I think the most harmful thing we do is wearing things once and then discarding it. If we can wear things over and over again and really get the full use out of them, I feel like that's one of the most sustainable things we can do, which is why I make the jewelry out of brass or gold, because they can last a really long time and hopefully even be passed down. So the most important thing for me is that this can be reworn and then reworn by someone else as well. And that's the most important thing I think people can do in terms of fashion to be sustainable now.
Okay. So rewear, reuse, relove, and recycle.
Yes.
Okay. So let's look at it. I have a couple more questions, but before I do, I want to actually say to you, looking at your journey so far, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Babes, 18-year-old gift is chaotic. No one has it all sorted and done. They might, it's all an exterior shell of having it together. Behind the scenes, everyone is as kind of chaotic and confused as you are right now, and probably will be for the next couple of years. Because that would have been really helpful to know, because when I was that age, I was just so confused by the world. And so I guess in some ways beaten down by it. I was like, gosh, I'm not the only person that must feel this. No, I'm not. I mean, it doesn't invalidate my feelings, but it's important to acknowledge that confusion and that, I don't know what I'm going to do. In the next 5 years, what's going to happen? Or how am I going to do this? And what's happening next? All that worry is stuff that people, even older than me, even me, version of me now, is still worrying about. And so not to put so much pressure that you are feeling that way. You're not a bad person for feeling that way.
Right. That is sweet. And I like it. That's great advice to 18-year-old self for anybody. So we've come to that point in the show where we get to celebrate. We have our So Loud moment where we get to celebrate a person, a thing. It's up to you what you want to celebrate. So what is your So Loud moment gift?
Ooh. This is something it might seem unorthodox, or maybe it's not. I've been making more of an effort over the last couple of months to take more naps. And I've been really inspired by the nap industry to do this. And I made a whole project called Black Women at Rest about it. And I've been really proud of myself, because I grew up a lot thinking sleep bad, you don't sleep. If you sleep, you lazy. Not because of anything to do with my mum, but because of just society, the grind culture. Or if you want to succeed, you need to be up 24 hours a day, whatever.
Yeah, you need to be up at 5 a.m. and go to bed at 5 a.m. That kind of nonsense.
Yeah, it's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit strange. And so lately, it's just been kind of trying to follow my body's rhythm. If I'm really tired, just taking a minute and sitting down. The world doesn't go up into flames as I thought it would before. If I'm really tired, go and lie down for a second. And I'm seeing the benefits of taking care of myself and actually giving my body the rest it needs. It's allowing me to actually get the things I need done. And it's making me happier. And it's just giving me time to think. Even I don't sleep every time. Sometimes I just stare up and just think. And I didn't realize how little I did that when I was constantly just trying to think about things to do. Sitting in silence sometimes in your bed or somewhere, looking out the window if you want, is one of the most rebellious things we can do in a capitalist society, but also one of the most important things we can do in terms of our own mental health and in terms of taking stock of what's actually going on. Because those moments of clarity feel so fleeting. It can feel like a day, you just never have enough time. But
yeah,
if you put a time of 5 minutes, you'd be surprised how slow 5 minutes goes by. You're just looking out the window doing nothing. Trust me.
All right, so we are celebrating naps and just chilling.
Yes. Naps every day, yes.
It's funny because, as kids, we're told to take a nap and we will scream and cry. Now I'm like, I want to take a nap.
Yeah.
Please let me take a nap.
Please.
So yes, big high fives to the naps. We love the naps, and not just for, yes, we get to sleep and rest, but like you said, the mental well-being aspect of it is absolutely crucial. So how can people get hold of you?
They can contact us on our Instagram, OK_London on Instagram, just DM, I'm always there. Or you can email us at migwa, which means hi in Urhobo, at OK-London.com.
Okay, so people, you've now known how to get hold of her. I'll put that all in the show notes. And if you want to give, let's look at the jewelry. Let's look at the earrings. If you want someone to get it for themselves, what is the one thing that you tell them that they are getting? That is not just earrings. What is the one thing that you want them to remember that they're getting when they buy these earrings, these statements?
Ooh, a timeless ancestral gift.
Like it and love it. So thank you so much. And before I let you go, I'm going to ask you 2 more questions. So the first question I'm going to ask is, what's next for you in terms of future projects?
Yeah, so I've got the next piece en route hopefully soon, so I'm really excited to announce that when I get the dispatch note. So that's good. And in terms of me, I'm just going to keep trying to do things that make me happy. I'm really trying to prioritize while I can. I'm in a situation where I can prioritize like freelance roles and like part-time roles that really actually make me happy and feed into my creative soul, because I spent a long time of my life in a survival mode and just doing things to survive. I'm in a position where I can be a bit more picky, and so I'm going to be.
Oh, and some. So here's my last question. What is your favorite meal from your culture?
It's gonna have to be rice and stew. I've loved rice and stew. I know. I'm sorry. I mean, my granddad loved banga soup. That's a Urhobo dish. He loved banga soup, but I don't. It's not particular to my taste. I love rice and stew, man. I'm a ride or die for rice and stew. I think my mom had it when I was in the womb. I've loved it ever since I was born. Like, it's just top tier. Absolutely love it. I'm afraid. Sorry.
Something. I was waiting for. Okay, rice and stew it is. Thank you. Gift, it has been an absolute pleasure and a gift to have you on the show. Looking forward to hearing about more incredible things from you and seeing the next pieces come through. And thank you for being on the show.
No worries. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Guys, it's a wrap. You know what to do. If you want to find more about Gift and her incredible jewelry, her OKE Jewellery, go onto her website, go onto Instagram, hit her up, drop her an email, and please give us that email again, migwa at
OK-London.com.
Okay, so you heard the email address. Drop her a message and find out more. So you know what to do. You like the show, you love the show, drop us a message, give us a 5-star review. And if you want to be on the show, you know someone that should be, drop us a message. You know where to find us, all on the socials, Shine Out Loud Show. And we'll be back same time next week. And it's a wrap.
You've been listening to the Shine Out Loud Show. If you want to connect with us or let us know what you thought of today's show, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Shine Out Show.